Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for episode 152 of the MeepleCore Gaming Podcast. I am your host, Tim Jennette, the Metal Meeple, and I'm joined by my co-host,
Brian Jennette.
It's Friday night, which means we're halfway through Gencon 2025, and so we give you our mid-convention report. Enjoy the show! All right, so as you heard from the intro, I am here with my brother, Brian.
How's it going?
And this is his second time joining Gen Con, but the first time was in 2003, so it's been quite a while.
Yeah, 22 years. Not very long.
A lot of things has changed. I remember when we first came, one of the funniest stories was like they had a computer problem or whatever, and so they had a big sign that said LineCon 2003.
That's awesome.
You remember that?
No, not really.
All right. Well, anyway, so Brian has... I have tried many years to get Brian deeply into board games, and I don't know. It never worked, or at least never clicked, or maybe it was just World of Warcraft. That was the problem.
That was the problem. I competitively did World of Warcraft for about 16 years, so...
Yeah, and he's gotten the bug, he's gotten bit, and now he likes it, and he's converted a room into a board game room, and so that's pretty fun. And before we get started, he has... recently started an Instagram channel. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so what I wanted to do was kind of, my wife and I, share our love for board games and give me an excuse to take really cool photos with props to kind of showcase the game and add interesting elements that kind of would reinforce the brand image or what the game was designed around. And just a way to showcase cool photos and then also our review of the game and hopefully get more people interested. It's been up for about 5 weeks. It's on Instagram. It's Dirtlets Gaming. And it's been a lot of fun so far.
And Dirtlets is DIRTLITS.
Correct.
Gaming. So as you can hear, we don't have George or James here. They did not attend Gen Con, but obviously they did the, well, at least James did the Origins mid-convention report and a review of it afterwards. And so I was here, but Brian's here, and it makes for a good podcast to have more than one person. I fully think I like listening to a podcast with 2 or more people most of the time. So it's Friday night, and it's about 10 o'clock. So if you listen to this on Friday, then you're listening to this immediately after I post it, because that is crazy fast. Otherwise, you're probably hearing it sometime in the morning or something, or maybe you listen to it after the convention. It doesn't matter. But this is the midpoint in Gen Con, the best 4 days in gaming. We were done with Thursday, we were done with Friday, and we did a lot of cool stuff. And so we're going to go over the convention. I'll start with a couple of things real quick. This year, as it was last year, and I think the year before, it's sold out. So all 4 days, are like every badge is sold out for every day, including the 4-day badge, which means there's 70,000 plus people in attendance with a crazier turnstile, which I always thought the turnstile is stupid. Like, who cares? I mean, if you sold out all your badges, you know your attendance. No, it's not like you can have more than that with single person. Anyway, long story short, complaint is done. But the convention has been really cool. Well, I mean, it's hot in the dealer's room at some points, but it's been cool in Indianapolis. This is a great year for a convention. It's like, what, upper 70s?
Right. And the day before the con started, it was 92 with like a heat index of almost 100. So it was a welcome change.
Yeah.
And now for me, I did a lot of conventions, but they were primarily horror movie conventions. So we met a lot of the actors. And most of those are around 30,000 guests. I will say, for having 70,000+ guests at the convention, it's relatively smooth considering how many people are there. Also, the attendees are all super nice. The developers, all of the publishers have been super nice. You can tell how inclusive the entire industry is around certain aspects of what they want to promote. So for us, it's been really cool to see. And it's a loving community. It's really nice to see that up in person.
Yeah, and for me and my wife, we one thing that's changed this year, we have a 2.5-year-old, and they've banned a lot of wagons and wagon strollers. Obviously, a normal stroller with a kid in it is still acceptable, and that's what we have. and I'm always on guard kind of because, they implement something new and you don't want to break the rules. And so we're driving this stroller around. And I'm like, oh my God, I want, my wife, even like some of the, some of the vendors are like, oh yeah, just put your games in the spot where the kid is, because I'm holding my son in my arms, and I'm like, nope, I don't want to make anybody mad, because I don't think there would be anybody who's an exhibitor that would get upset, but I know like some kind of person would come up to me like, you need to put your kid in the stroller, not your games.
That was the one thing that I remembered with the FAQ. Said if you bring a stroller, it has to have a kid in it.
Yeah, it has to, you can't just bring a stroller and put like a fake doll in there and start
Right.
stuffing a bunch of games. But it's been fine. We've not had anybody say anything, so which makes sense. I mean, Gen Con is a lot of nice people. I mean, if anybody remembers this episode with Matt Robert, well, maybe this was Origins, but the idea is the gamer community. He left a bag on accident when we were got done playing games or whatever at a booth, and we came back like 20 minutes later, and it's still sitting there.
That is something I will add. The trust that the vendors have with the attendees is the funniest thing to me, because people have earned it. Because honestly, I'm walking around with games. They're like, oh, pay over there. I'm literally walking like 25 feet around.
Dude.
I could just disappear. But it was like, I'm like, no, I can't do that. I'm bad. And then they have the trade a pin, get a pin, or leave a pin, take a pin.
Oh yeah, it's like honor system.
No one will do that without leaving a pin. And it's like, for me, that's awesome.
Dude, it's so crazy. Like the All Play booth has games on the backside. There's zero way that anybody can, unless you have a undercover cop essentially, or undercover staff person watching the games. It is crazy how easy it would be to steal anything at this convention, and it's always been like that. And I really, number one, I hope and I would believe, since I've been coming since 2003, and the booths just get wilder like that, that their theft rates are super low.
Well, you got to think, they even have the games out there, demos. Every piece is still accounted for,
Oh yeah.
which is not something I'm going to see anywhere else. You come back there, you'd be lucky if the board was left.
It just
But there, I was like, that is such a it made you feel you could trust people around you.
right. Now I know at Essen they had some issues with some of the cash boxes being stolen and stuff, but I mean, no issues at Gen Con. I mean, some of that is also because a lot of people have moved away from cash, which is great because cash is dirty. But it's so much easier to just take your card and swipe it or put it against like one of those card readers and stuff. So, well, anyway, a lot of people are listening to this to learn about Gen Con and what's going on at this Gen Con specifically. So we're going to talk about some of the things we did. I went around and got a few of the games I was really excited about. If you listen to the episode about Origins, one of the games I was most excited about was Grand Central Skyport. It's a steampunk, I guess, tableau building game in a way. And I was really excited about that. That was my number one pick at Origins, but I didn't attend to Origins. So I guess technically it's not a game that came out at Gen Con, but I was able to snag that. I got Wine Cellar, which was another one that was on my list, and a couple of other games. I'm drawing a blank. I actually should have. Oh, I did write them down. Hang on for a second.
Dun, dun, dun.
I have because I need to do this for budgeting purposes. Gen Con, let's see. I got that. Those games. I got here Fishy Fishy. That's a new Haba game for 2-year-olds. And basically it is a little fish pole with magnets to pick up fish. And then whatever fish you pick up, you get to slot a puzzle in your puzzle board. I got the War of Whispers expansion, which if you haven't played War of Whispers, it's amazing. It's a very, very good game where it's like a dude's on a map, but you're not actually any of the factions that are fighting each other. You're like shadow guys in the background making like political moves and stuff. And so you get to line up what you want, or what you line up, at random, but the expansion kind of fixes that. You line up the order of what faction you think is going to get first, second, third, and you get points based on how many buildings they have on the table or whatever. But that was one of my 10 in the Gen Con releases. I also got some foam swords for the kids. And this was crazy. I went to one of the booths, the booth that publishes like Reef Project and the T games like Teotihuacan and all the other ones. Mm-hmm. Then they had all their games like $10, like Terracotta Army, Teotihuacan, Tuckanu New or whatever at
Yeah.
Tawada, all the David Turksky games. But that was crazy prices. I killed my arms because I just stacked them high and
That
left.
was something actually I noticed is the pricing. They weren't really waiting until Saturday or Sunday to do the pricing was actually pretty good at most of the booths I went to,
Oh yeah, like unless you're going for like a current release at Gen Con.
which I did.
Well, you did, yeah. I guess we'll go through what games you got
Yeah.
and stuff. But some of the like older games, the prices are just ludicrously cheap. And I mean, that's one of the coolest things about Gen Con, I think, is that you can get tons of games really cheap because you're buying them directly from the publisher. I guess this goes for most conventions, but this is the biggest convention where the most publishers are in one spot. You know, if you go to some of the smaller conventions, maybe it's like 40 or 50 vendors, but it was like 400 or 500 vendors. I don't even remember. There's a lot. So it's really easy to have access to a lot of really cool games. Um, some of the other things, let's see, we got to play Spirits of the Wild Giant Edition. Have you played Spirits of the Wild?
I was taught how to play it with the big fox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a coyote, I think.
Oh, is that what it is? I
Yeah.
saw it. I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah, that is crazy good. We really like
I think that you think it's your wife's favorite, one of her favorite games.
It is. It is. It's in her top 10, and it's a really good game. They've really not changed a whole lot about the game and the way it plays, but they've added some special powers to the whatever those boards are you're putting the gems on. Once you complete them, you get like a little special power, and I thought that was pretty cool. The color scheme to me is kind of meh as far as the components, but the actual animal cards, those look cooler, and the box itself, the art is awesome. I really like that. So that was a really fun thing to try out. It's always awesome to try out like these big versions of games, just because you're not really. It's not feasible to have something like that.
Oh, but I would take it if it could.
Oh yeah, no, I would absolutely do
Can I
that.
get a full scale version of Terraforming Mars, please? Thanks.
Well, before I get anything else, what all did you pick up?
Well, actually, I'm adding one to this list. You should talk about Up or Down.
Yes, so Brian picked up or down, and I saw it in the booth at Capstone. This was not on my radar at all. This is a card game that is very similar to Ohanami or Ohanami or whatever. Every time I say it, I question the way I was pronouncing
I
it.
think it's Ohanami.
I think it is too, and then now I'm tired and I can't remember. But it's a game where you're building these columns in front of you, and the numbers have to go up or down. And it's designed by Wolfgang Kramer and Michael Kiesling. And so once he pulled over the box, and I've read that because it was not on my radar. I don't even remember seeing it on the preview list for Gen Con on Board Game Geek, but I'm assuming it is. And then I flicked or not flicked. I'm watching Brian flick through his pictures, and I just named off the action. I looked at the box, and it said Wolfgang Kramer and Michael Kiesling. Those two duo. That's like a duo of designers that make a lot of stuff together, and they make a lot of good stuff alone as well or solo. This is a fantastic game. This might be. I don't know if you would call it a hidden gem per se, but this is at least my sleeper hit for me personally, just because I was not aware of it. I like Ohanami a lot, but this game, instead of drafting cards, such like Sushi Go or whatever, where you get a hand of cards, you pick two and you pass the deck to the next person. This one actually has a ring of cards that you put on the center of the table with two decks, and one's face up and one face down. And on your turn, you take a card from your hand and place it between two cards that are like you slot it in numerically. So those 6 cards in the middle are numerically in a clockwise order. So if you put down 42 between 18 and 60, the 42 will go between those, and you pick one to the left or right. So that 18 or that 60, you get to pick up, put it into your columns. You get to build 3 columns, much like Ohanami. But each column can either ascend or descend. I think the better name for this game would have been elevators.
That's fair.
Up or down just kind of seems generic, like snakes on a plane. Although, they end
Fair.
up going with that name anyway.
I think the game actually does release in August. So this was a release at Gen Con only. And for a price point of around $15, it's really hard to beat.
Man, even Miniature Market has it for $13.99, and normal retail is $16.99, and at the convention it says $17, but they're offering it for $12. So getting it for $1 cheaper, and The crazy thing is the component quality is really cool. I mean, you said your favorite thing about it. You can go ahead.
Oh, because one thing I do like is when there's that extra little. They added everything's gilded with the gold foil. It's just really pretty. It's just really nice. The cards are high quality.
Yeah, and that box is awesome. Like
Yeah.
that thick box. It's gilded as well. Very nice artwork, although you're never paying attention to the artwork. Uh, there's, I mean, it's really, really good.
And what's really weird is when you compare it to a game like, what is it, Ohanami?
Yeah.
Um, this one's a little bit more thinkier, especially when you get near the end, because you have to place a card. And you're doing 3 columns, you got to play it. Well, guess what? If you have no legal place, you have to completely destroy an entire column you worked on, and now you only get 1 point per each card. That can be brutal at the end if you're not prepared for it.
It is brutal because let's say you had a discard pile of 8 cards, that's only 8 points. And the way the scoring works is each column is worth, you take the number, the highest number, like they're all different colors. So say you had the most blues in a column, say you had 5 blues and there was 8 cards in the column. That's a really good layout. So you got 5 blue times the number of cards in the column, which is 8. So 5 times 8, that's 40. Whereas those 8 cards, if they went to the discard, it's 8 points. So it can really devastate you if you don't plan ahead or really set yourself up for a very easy ending. But man, like the strategic decisions that are being made and with placing the cards out in between other cards, because here's what's really cool, I thought. Let's say you got a really cool card and you're going for blue for that column and you have a blue card in your hand. Well, just because you play that out in the middle of the table to choose one of the cards next to it doesn't mean you've lost that card. Because if you look around the table, you're like, okay, nobody else needs any cards from the 50s, right? From the numbers of 50s. And so like now I know that card's probably going to stay out there. And then when it's your next turn, hopefully you have another card to be able to place to take your card back and then you get to play it. So it's got this really cool idea. I mean, that's not happening all the time and it's not like the primary strategic focus you're on, but it is really cool to do and to experience the game. Now, it is much longer than Ohanami, but I think if you played it a few times, you can speed through it a little bit quicker. So
Another thing too is if you look around the table and you know someone, every card they have has to be over 50, but you've got a 40 that you can throw down and they're next. You basically it made them destroy a column.
yeah, you can set some people up for failure. I mean, I wouldn't.
We
say
didn't
that
do it, but you can.
You can, but there's a way out because you always have three. Excuse me, you always have 3 cards to pick from.
That's fair.
But you can really hamper somebody's decision making by putting out a card and taking something you know they probably need. But again, if you're taking a card, you probably need it as well.
Right.
And the other thing I like about it as well is that when you go to at the end of your turn, you get to draw a card and you get to draw a face-up card or gamble and take one from the deck.
I do like that.
Yeah.
So some of the games actually, we had a list because it was our first Gen Con. We had a list of games that we were going after. I have the ones day one pretty easily. I will. We're big Andromeda's Edge fans. I was able to get the Escalation expansion, which since I've had it, Andromeda's Edge, that game, that expansion has been out of stock online every place you can possibly think of. So I was like, since I saw it, I was like, oh, well, that's buying. We actually picked up Four Shuffles Dartmoor, which is a separate standalone 2-player game. I think it's 2 to 5, but it's a completely separate Four Shuffle game. So we picked that up. We picked up the expansion for Arch Ravels. I know there was a lot of challenges in the past to get this expansion out. It was finally released. We picked that up. It's a fun little game. Of course, we picked up Up or Down as well. We also picked up the Golden Edition of Harvest. We've been looking for it for a while. By the time you started getting all the component upgrades, you might as well get the deluxe edition of it, but the cost wasn't so much different.
Yeah.
Plus the designer there, super cool guy. I'll talk a little bit about that a little later. We've been
Brian's gotten more autographs in 1 year from designers than I've gotten the entire time I've played board games. You're definitely into that, like the going to the horror conventions, getting the sign people to sign stuff.
I don't know why. It's just fun. Well, it also gives you an excuse to talk to them in a different way, where you have had a little more experience to be able to talk to these designers, talk to the developers.
Well, it's fair too, because it's more like I'm talking to them from a media perspective.
Right. And that's kind of how I kind of we would start there, and then we'd talk about design aesthetics or graphic
Yeah.
design, because I mean I've done graphic design and everything for like 30 some odd years. So, but other games we got Campy Creatures.
Yep. The newest release of it.
We also bought The Sims because we kind of had to. My wife's a big simmer. $20 price point at Target. Looks like it'd be fun. We also bought this other game called The Stuff of Legend. It's actually
Should be called Stuffies of Legend.
it's actually based on a New York Times bestseller graphic novel series.
Oh, that's cool.
So we got that, which is really cool. Some of the other stuff we bought is the deluxe edition of Luthier,
Yeah.
which that's a heavy euro, but man, it looks so good. We bought a lot of stuff for Pagan.
I'm really excited that you bought the Luthier box because that was my number one. If you listen to our Gencon preview episode, we didn't really do the games in any particular order of how we're looking forward to them. But the first, maybe the number one or number two, that's kind of where we, had our like number ones or our number twos, maybe even our number three. My number two, or well, actually the first one I started off with, I was super excited about was Fountains, but then I didn't realize it was actually a demo, but they have it here to show off. I just haven't actually had a chance to play it. But continue on.
Yeah, we checked a couple other things we got. We're sometimes small games because you see them, you're like, all right, I'm gonna get it for $10, So we bought stuff like there's a game called Scream. It's a little basic small little card game. We bought the Twinkle Twinkle game, which is basically your little
star.
The star, those stars, those transparent. But that looks kind of fun. We got some of the Final Girl promo cards. But we also picked up Galileo Galilei, which was
I'm very excited about that.
oh yeah, its designer is Tomas Holik, who was the designer for SETI. And also, I think he won 3 different Dice Tower awards today. I think it was the SETI got Game of the Year. I don't know if it's like CEO or something. I can't remember the other one. And he also got New Designer of the Year.
This is all Dice Tower Award stuff?
Yeah. And he was actually the designer of Galileo Galilei. We met him. Super nice guy. And there's some other stuff we bought. But those are mainly the ones we purchased. I know there's a few other games I can't remember.
I did get a couple of review copies of games that we will end up doing on the podcast. One was Boom Patrol, which is a Smirk and Dagger game. And I'm also going to get a couple of other games from them. We're going to have Kurt on the podcast from Smirk and Dagger here shortly, which would be super cool. I mean, I can't remember. He hasn't been on the podcast, but he did show us Night Cage a long time ago. And we previewed that as well, which was really fun. I like Kurt. He's a really, really good guy. And also Travis from Queen Games gave me Star Explorer. It's a flip and write game. It looks super cool. It is a like dry erase board with like constellations and stuff, and you're using chalk markers, but they're white. So it's this really nice contrast. Super cool. One thing I will talk about with Queen Games, which is interesting because I looked at the box and I'm like, Travis, where's the yellow Queen stuff, right? The yellow that's always on the box that you look at and you can tell it's a Queen game. Well, apparently they decided to move away from that. So they have a little white like wave on the front that goes to the Queen logo as an homage to the old graphics. But man, that is 25 years of marketing. But I don't know. I kind of go back and forth. Is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? Like when people come to my house, they're like, oh man, you own a lot of Queen games, but they never say you own a lot of X publisher games, or whatever this publisher is, because you don't instantly see it other than maybe Haba. And the Haba games are in a kid's room. So
what I will say though, the thing I like about it as a designer is it actually opens the doors to a lot more creativity and a lot more design. Because if you look at design, it does look a little different stylistically.
It does. And the other thing is, if you have a game that's a bomb, like a piece of crap or something, that doesn't do very well, when you come up with another game, people aren't going to immediately look at the graphic and say, oh, here's this company that makes this game that I don't like. They're going to have zero idea that you published it unless they look into who the publisher is and be like, oh man, okay, cool. That is one good thing. It masks your past failures to
That's
some
true.
degree,
That is true.
because there's a lot of games that I'll look at and I'll play it and I'm like, oh my god, they published this. Instead of just looking at a game and saying, oh, well, it's a yellow game. I know Queen Games doesn't make any good stuff, which I'll be completely honest. I like Queen Games. I like everybody there and that's a good company. They have some really bad games. They do. They have a lot of really good games. And especially recently, well, when I say recently, like the past 5, 6 years, 7 years, something like that, they have a very, very strong library of games, but they have a lot that is also, it's basically the Reiner Knizia of the publishing. For those who don't know, Reiner Knizia just pukes out games every 5 seconds, and most of them are
Trashed here.
most of them are games, and the other ones are good. So, I mean, he makes a lot of good games, but it's kind of like being a photographer and like, oh man, these are really good pictures. Thanks. That photo shoot was 2,000 pictures, and here's 14. You know what I mean? Like,
So it's like throwing darts blind.
yeah, basically, like eventually you're going to get a lot of bullseyes, but how much did you,
Right.
what kind of crap did you go through to get there?
Where so far, even for me, I'm starting to find designers and be like, I love their prior games they've done, so I kind of know going in that game's probably going to be decent.
Yeah, I mean there's not a lot of designers who dramatically change from game to game. But like Vlada Chvátil, like he designs incredibly complex games and then he's like code names,
Which is like the complete opposite.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
it is crazy. I mean, he's a very prolific designer and can hit any avenue, I think, at this point. But there's a lot of designers, it's like they come out with a game and then they come out with another one and it's all the same and it's the same and it's the same. I'm looking at you, Uwe Rosenberg, and I don't even care who I offend. Like, he's got good games, but I mean, basically, you're taking the same game, shaking it up in a ball.
He's just rethemed it, changed some mechanics. All right, there we go.
Here's another game about farms. Here's another game about growing vegetables. I don't know. A lot of people like Uwe. I like Uwe's games. I'm just being teasing, but you play a game and it's like, oh, this is exactly like Agricola and Converna and blah blah blah. It's just anyway.
I don't see a Roland Wright coming out very often from him.
Right? Yeah, I mean, he's got a formula that he sticks to.
Yeah, it works, but
It's
it
working.
does pigeonhole you into a design aesthetic.
And look, Uwe, if you're listening for whatever reason you listen to my podcast, keep on doing what you're doing, man. I mean, you're probably rich and I'm not. So let's move on. Anyway, we'll get back to Gen Con. Some of the other things that was cool. They have some random things that's not gaming related. There was a game called Mochi. I can't remember if it's called Mochi or not. But they had a vending machine with all these little mochi, like stress ball looking things.
Oh,
You
interesting.
know what mochi is? It's like it kind of looks like a dumpling. It's Korean.
Okay.
Like,
Oh, is it one of those kawaii type of things?
I'm
looking it up.
easiest way to explain it, if you ever played Dragon Warrior, is the little slimes. That's kind of what mochi looks like. Although you got to look up cute moji if you're going to look up mochi. Because if you look up the actual food, I don't know how to explain. What's mochi? Yeah, there you go. They have like a bunch of little stress balls in this vending machine, and you get to play until you win. So we got a couple of those, and they're really fun. And it actually got me interested in the game. So well done on that marketing front.
On the other hand, I'm going to release a game that's not even in English at Gen Con.
Yeah, man, there's a Korean like collectible card game, and we got like some booster packs, and they're all in Korean. But it's weird because they have a download code, and when you get the download code, you can download their game of the same name. And I'm sorry, I have zero idea what this name of this game is. My wife's playing it. But the game has not a single thing to do with a trading card game. It's more like an auto battler where you form a party and they go through and like kill bad guys. They just do all the auto fighting for you. There's no decisions to be made. It's pretty, but man, I'm not a big fan of this auto battler thing. So, but other than that, I mean, the convention has had a very strong start. There's a lot of publishers here. Weirdly enough, and I didn't know this prior, but eBay is not here.
Really?
So, oh yeah, I guess you wouldn't know. The last couple of years, eBay has had a gigantic booth. I mean, it must have been like a 5x5 booth. It is massive. And they were giving out all kinds of crap and deck boxes and graded cards and those slabs and stuff. And they had all kinds of prolific unboxing people that are on TikTok and YouTube. And they would come out like open up like Pokemon. They would just open packs, crack them live, and then people can bid on them while they're doing it live. And they would throw stuff into the crowd. I mean, they were going.
That must have been a big sponsor then.
It was a massive sponsor, and I don't know. They're not here. I guess it didn't work out for them.
Yeah,
that was really sad. So let's talk about what's some of the coolest booths that you experienced so far.
I finally did get to experience the Kingdom Death Monster booth.
Yes.
Which I didn't get a chance to play it, but have you played the digital version of it?
No, but
the key code comes with a crazy looking key.
It does.
I was like, that is so rad. Of course, everybody in there is interesting, but
yeah.
there are. I mean, it is a very niche thing. But yeah, I thought the digital was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Here's the thing: I own Kingdom Death Monster. The key, I think, is pretty expensive.
It has the digital key for the game.
It does, but it's also all in Tabletop Simulator for free.
Which I would just do that. So it's good.
And so, like, here's the thing: I've supported them and bought the base game and a handful of expansions. I bought many of their shirts. I give this company some money. If I want to play your game digitally based on when people upload it, I feel okay for that. I would have never bought that key anyway. So,
no.
But if you don't have anything physical or you're playing with people across the country or whatever, that key is a super cool way to support the company and also play with your friends. Because otherwise, if you play tabletop, they're not making any money off of you. But man, I got to paint those miniatures. I got to own that physical thing. Yep. And those miniatures are crazy. Did you see some of the stuff in the case?
Well, none of them were painted. There didn't have very many painted.
There's not many painted.
But man, whatever.
They don't even need to be painted. Like, there's so much crazy.
You could literally just throw a wash on them and be like, done.
Yeah, actually, that's a good idea. Is just wash a lot of them because, I mean, unless you just really invest in that game.
You could lightly wash them and do a very light, dry color over it, and then that would be all you would need. Yeah. Other things for me I thought was interesting is I actually met. So I have a relatively new channel. I started about 5 weeks ago, and there was a content creator, Brazenator, that I've talked to a couple times and was asking them questions about some games that she was doing. And I was joking. I was like, hey, I'll see you at Gencon. It's going to be like, where's Waldo of Gencon? You know, that kind of thing. I literally ran into her today and I started talking to her. And we got along well. She loves a lot of the way I do my photography for my stuff. But it was just funny to run into somebody with 70 some odd thousand people there. And you're like, really? And then I was talking to one of the developers at Inside Up Games. And then when I brought my channel, this random guy next to me goes, oh, Derelict Gaming, I think I follow you. And then we looked it up and he follows me and I follow him.
Yeah, that
was actually kind of hilarious, actually. So, but yeah, a lot of the developers have given a lot of really positive feedback. Basically, my channel, I do cool little layouts. Like we just got Silver Frost in for Everdell. And I got my Christmas stuff out, did this really nice layout. And when I was talking to James Wilson, who's the designer for it, he goes, hey, I've seen that picture. That picture was awesome and everything. So I'll throw this in because I happened to ask him a question. I was like, dude, because you can get signatures. So I just got him to sign one of the promo cards. And I was like, what's the deal with Rugwort? Because everything in Everdell is so happy and nice. And then Rugwort is like the most trolly thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's very player interaction. Like, you know, they kind of take that stuff that you wouldn't expect to be in the game, right? Is that what you're talking about?
It's brutal.
Yeah.
And so and what's funny is if you look on Google, I was just kind of trying to figure out, it's like, okay, why did he add it? And he basically, on Google, it says he intentionally designed to introduce a layer of uncertainty and challenge to the solo experience. That's actually not correct. I asked him, I was like, dude, why did you add that? I said, that is a terrible card. So he goes, all right, let me tell you about it. So I actually record him, but he was talking about the original intent was the cards were made to be handed out at Gencon as just goofy little cards. Unbeknownst to him, it got inserted into the box and was actually created. So he was like, what do I do? So he's getting all these people that are like going, well, what happens when I take this card and this card and this area? He's like, I have no idea. It wasn't designed to do that.
Right, yeah. A lot of people don't know this, but when they publish a game, they print cards on sheets, these massive sheets, and each one has a certain amount of cards you can have. They think ahead. They know that they're going to have promotional items for the game. They're going to have promos, was what we call them, and they're typically in cards. They spent very little, if not anything, on some of these promos because they're part of the original print run sheets and they just happen to take them out and have like a thousand of them off to the side or 2,000 of them, and it's super easy to do. And it makes a lot of sense because like you're still doing only one print run of the game, but you get all these promos, and so it sounds like somebody didn't know that those promos were supposed to be moved out of it, and they got included into the normal print sheet and included in the box.
Which I thought was hilarious.
That's hilarious. Yeah, if you go to Dirtlet Gaming at on Instagram, I'm sure maybe a couple days from now he'll have that posted on there because that's going to be super cool.
Yeah, for the other stuff, I think just a couple of things, but basically one thing, there was a game that we wanted to look up. What is the Elizabeth R. Graves that Sable?
Cinnabelle or something.
Cinnabelle, yeah. It's about collecting seashells and everything. I didn't get a chance to play it, but I looked at how it was played. I'm still on the fence. I think the designs.
Try it before you buy it.
Yeah, I think that might be where I'm going to go. I need to really see mechanically how it is because it seems very light.
It probably is very light, and it looks very boring.
Yeah. From a design aesthetics, I was just like, I don't.
Like, I don't mean to Elizabeth Hargrave or whatever, because I'm sure, she didn't do the art.
Right.
But the art and the aesthetic to the game it looks like a cheesy game, honestly.
Yeah, it doesn't look.
Maybe it'll be great, and I hope it is,
yeah.
But it does not appeal to me just by looking at it. And seashells are pretty. I just think that this could have been a little cooler looking.
Like if the cards have metallic paint on them and stuff, just to kind of reinforce this pearlescent kind of effect. That would be cool.
Or they could even have them printing. Dude, the Haba game has pearlescent printing on some of their pieces, and it's like a little kid's game.
Yeah.
So it's doable, people. It's doable.
Yeah. So then the other thing, as I was walking around with our playtesting, there was a game that actually we were very interested in, but I didn't know how far along it was called Class of '89. So this is from the same publisher that does Luthier.
Yep.
And then basically the whole idea is the premise was it's almost like a tableau builder worker placement game that also has a reputation track. And it's literally you're building a yearbook layout from 1989. It's got every possible generic person you can think of. Like
there's you graduated though, right?
Yeah, I graduated in '93, but so it's same. But basically, you have all like the jocks, the nerds, the music, the band guys, and the artwork is hilarious. But everything is in, I would say, alpha stage at this point. But it was really funny because they had one of the reputation tracks was the math kids, and it was like mathletes or something, and it was literally directly next to the teacher's assistant track. So there's all those little clever tie-ins back and forth to like, it's brilliant. It's going to be really funny, I think.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. We talked about that on the podcast because I think George and James, well, they both graduated in '89 technically, or at least George would have, but he graduated 1 year early. But they're both technically '89. I'll mention one other game that I saw that was a interesting game that I'm debating on going back and buying, at least playing and seeing it. I wasn't aware of this game either. It's called Marvelous, and this is published by Cosmos. And if you like games like Potion Explosion or games with that whole gem explosion, like the phone games where like 3 gems are next to each other or whatever. And what's really cool is you have this little tray in front of you that's tilted, so you're going to like roll the balls down into like 5 different columns. But you draw a card, and the card will say maybe it's yellow, blue, red. And in that order, but you can turn the card any way you want. So you can turn it to where all 3 of them come down the same column, so it's yellow, blue, red, top from bottom, or you can flip it around and have red on top and yellow on bottom, or you can turn it and then like red, blue, and yellow all go down different columns. And the idea is you're trying to build groups of these balls. And when they score, they explode as long as there's 3 of them. but there's a grid off to the side that has scorecards. And if you make 3 or 4 or 5 of a color, then you're going to take whatever point card is face up in that, column and row. So if you did 4 reds, whatever that, you draw the row in the column, and whatever point card is there, you grab that. So the points will actually shift as you're playing, because if somebody takes a point card, say you take like the 3 blue, then the 4 blue and the 5 blue, which is above it, will fall down, and then a new card flips out for the 5. So it seems, I mean, it's really light and stuff, and it's got some other cool stuff. There's like white marbles, which are wilds. So when they come out, typically you only get 2 marbles instead of 3. It just seems like a really neat family game that has a potion explosion, or whatever you want to call it, type of mechanic. And that was a surprise. I didn't even know about that game, and Cosmos usually puts their stuff on there, so maybe I skipped over it, or they added after we did our preview. But anyway, yeah. So how's your first? Well, go ahead.
I was gonna say, one other game we actually got a chance to check out was this was a first look at Cascadia Alpine Lakes. So on the new version of this game, they kind of took the formula from before, except now all the tiles are 2 tiles connected to each other. And then as you're building and doing the scoring, you stack the tiles. So now the tiles are thicker than the original Cascadia, but all the animal tokens are a little thinner, so they actually have the same weight and height. So when you're stacking it, not only you're doing the pattern matching, but you're also doing height majority scoring, which I thought was kind of cool, actually. So that was a really cool game. A good look at that. And then, of course, we checked out the other stuff like Knitting Circle, which we've already kickstarted that with Pointopolis and Point Galaxy, which all of those were there, except for, and then we should have ours, I think, in like a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So that was cool to meet the designer of them as well. So,
well, as always, the shout out to the Dice Tower crew and all those guys, and all the people that I've known, like Tim from, he's working for another company now, but he was at Capstone, and Julie, and I went to see you, Julie, and I didn't see you. Talking about Julie Ahern, and if you go look at Final Girl, she has a promo out where her final form, I guess, or her special ability is her cat.
we bought that.
Did you really?
We bought both of them because in the Gencon coupon book, you can get each one, and like they're $10 a piece with the coupon book, but you have to have the book, the coupon, you buy them. Oh, there was one right before that. Shout out to Chris Yee from Dice Tower. His game sold out within a couple hours of the very first day.
Yeah, it's called Soda Jerk.
And he was just like, I was not expecting that. So,
dude, Chris, you should have expected that. Everybody knows you, man. You're doing a great job. That's super cool. It's awesome to see people design games. Like, it's easy to design a board game. It really is. And I don't mean that in a way, like, it's easy to design a board game. It's hard to design a good game. Yeah. And that's the key, because the barrier to entry on designing a board game is you and a pencil. You know what I mean? There's not a lot to it. And maybe there's a little bit of financial backing to publish it. That's one thing, but it is not like a video game.
But here's the thing. When you are somebody from the Dice Tower, you have a mind palace of knowledge of games. So you know what is out there and what works and what doesn't work.
Yes.
So instead of just copying something, you can make something new and fit into a niche place because you actually know.
Exactly. And the interesting thing is, apparently, we have a very unique voice.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to sound exactly like we're talking. I should talk like this. And next, Tim's up, and he's going to talk about more Gencon.
Well, I say that because...
Oh, yeah, that happened to me 3 times already.
Tell them what happened.
So, the very first time we went out there Friday, I talked to... who was it? I can't remember. Maybe Z, I think, maybe. No, I know what it was. I was talking to a guy at Inside Up Games, and he goes, man, do I know you? And I'm like, oh, you might know my brother. And he was like... And before I got a chance, he goes, oh, Tim. I'm like, yeah, that's him. And then it happened again with your buddy at Dice Tower.
Yes. Jason Levine, or Mike DeLisio.
Yeah, well, when I was talking to Mike.
Oh, yeah, it was Jason. Yeah.
But I didn't get a chance to say your name, and he automatically was like, oh, you're Tim's brother? And then Z did the same thing.
Yeah.
And then somebody else, I don't remember if it was the guy, I didn't beat your buddy from Capstone.
Oh, Tim?
Tim, yeah. So I talked to him, he was like, yeah.
Yeah, man. Brian was telling me the story afterwards, and I told him like as I edit the podcast, sometimes I'm like, man, that's not like Brian. It's crazy. Even my wife will tell me that every once in a while. But then sometimes I also sound like my little brother, which if you haven't listened to the podcast, he passed away. He was knocked off his motorcycle essentially. But I'll sound like him, especially if I'm getting amped up and I'm like, "Ah, ah, ah," and it's really funny. So
Yeah.
it's like the Jennette voice, I guess. One other thing I wanted to say about Gen Con, actually, if you're there and you haven't seen this, what I like this a lot, and I'm not sure if I forgot to tell you about this earlier. Ivy Studios, they're the people who publish like Fractured Sky and Veil of Fate, Moonrakers. They make some good stuff. They have a little game. It's a social game going on where you go and get, if you go to the room that's next to the dealer or, vendor hall, you'll get, basically it's just random number cards.
Hmm.
And that booth will give you, I think, evens and the other one gives you odds or vice versa, whatever. But what you're trying to do is trade with people to get 5 in a row. And if you get 5 in a row, like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, you go take them to that booth and you can trade them in for promos.
See, I love that. I also love. I kind of wish the coupon. This is my first year seeing the coupon book. I know it was a lot better back in the past, but one thing I really liked about it was go to this booth with this coupon, get this promo, or go to here, do this, and get this item.
Yes.
And like for example, Inside Up Games has specific ones for Earth on Thursday and Saturday, I think, and the Perch ones were Friday and Sunday.
Yeah.
So you had to actually go to both booths each day, and they mark it off on your little coupon.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool.
Speaking of promos, this year is really interesting because I usually go home with a stack of promos, and I feel like now they've regulated those down to purchases. Like if you spend $25 or $50. So gone are the days of just walking around and getting tons of free promos, which I think is fine. I don't have any problem with that, especially because that's going to more than likely stifle the scalping market or the secondhand market where people are selling this crap for stupid. I just knocked over my water. That scared the crap out of me. Anyway, but the ID Studio thing, just to finish up with that, I think that's really cool because it promotes this trading aspect.
Yes.
The Catan did that. I don't know if they're still doing it this year, but they at least did it a few years in a row. And they would have you would get a pack of like sheep. And then you have to go find the different people dressed as Catan, and they would give you all the different ones.
Their hats killed me, by the way.
Did you see them?
Their booth is absolutely idiotically massive.
It's pretty big.
I was like, why is it the size of it's basically a 9x9 grid.
Yeah,
and they have the hats with like all the characters on them.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
So I don't know if they're doing it this year, but last year those people were walking around and you had to find them.
I've seen them walking around, but I didn't know if it was related or.
Okay, yeah, I just didn't feel like figuring it out. But they would give you the different, 5 resources, and you would have to. So you get a pack of 5 sheep, which means you could trade 4 of those away. And if you do, you're trading it for the other resources. And once you have all 5, you go take them to somebody and get something. So
Gotcha. That's pretty cool.
yeah. As far as other stuff for Gen Con, I mean, there's well, I had something and I totally lost it. Man, I'm going to be mad later when I remember what this is. But I don't know. There's a lot of games that I have debated getting on maybe Sunday. I still haven't went to the consignment store. If you haven't been to that, that's fantastic. It's actually across the street. And I think the Marriott, which is north, and it's basically just a used store, but when people put games in there, they set 3 prices. Have you heard? Did I tell you about this?
I didn't know the full details, but
All right, well, here you go. You're going to learn it now. They put games in there, and they have a price for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And typically those lower and lower, and
oh, okay, that makes sense.
And so tomorrow being Saturday, all the games are going to be at their lowest price.
That was probably when I was going to go because
Yeah.
I'm going to film like some basic things and then just do the last minute stuff.
Yeah, there's some good stuff in there, especially if you don't mind buying older games. I mean, because there's so many games that come out, you don't have to buy like every single game as it comes out. What's weird is you'll go in there and see all these Kickstarters, and I'm like, haha. But the other thing is, what I mean by haha is like people are buying this crap and not playing it and just putting it up for sale. Like, why do you back 7,000 Kickstarters, guys, if you're not gonna Anyway, it's a rant for another day. But the point is, I think $75 is the max that you can put on a game in the consignment store.
Oh, that's dope.
If it's past that, there's an auction they also have.
That's the thing I saw was the auction part.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was in the same room as the other. Okay.
Yes, it's in the same area.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
I think
show us where that is.
Yeah, that might be something we're going to probably tomorrow around lunchtime.
Okay.
So anyway, anything else you want to end on? Are you good?
I think I'm good for now.
All right, cool. Well, again, check out Dirtlets Gaming on Instagram. All the cool stuff there. Like all his posts, reshare, do all that stuff. And we'll be back in a couple, maybe not 2 weeks, maybe a week. I'm just going to see. But to finish off our Gencon review or recap of the convention, and I'll talk about the other days. But anyway, we're going to wrap this episode up. We want to thank you for tuning in to episode 152 of the MeepleCore Gaming Podcast. This episode was recorded in a dingy basement on August 1st, 2025. Please send us your questions and comments to meeplecore@gmail.com. Follow MeepleCore on your favorite social media platforms and check out the video versions of the show on youtube.com/MeepleCore. Until next time, this is Tim Jennette, the Metal Meeple.
This is Brian Jennette.
Keep on rocking and rolling dice.